Welcome to Radiant Mom Rising. Get ready to be inspired, empowered, and uplifted. I'm your host, Mary Dibble, and in each episode, we dive into amazing stories, insights, and conversations that help moms like you chase your dreams and embrace your worth. Let's rise and shine together. Hey, Radiant Mamas. Welcome back to another powerful talk show episode of Radiant Mom Rising. Today, we're talking about something that so many of you feel, even if you haven't said it out loud yet, that quiet nudge inside that says, there's more for me, more growth, more alignment, more peace, more confidence, more impact. And here's the part we don't talk about enough. Stepping into a new chapter can feel terrifying. You can be grateful for your life and still crave expansion. You can love your family deeply and still feel called to evolve. You can honor who you've been and still outgrow her. In this episode, Shauna, Mary Beth, and I dive into what it really means to reinvent yourself as a mom and how to shed old beliefs, face fear without letting it lead, and step forward in confidence even when the next step feels uncertain. If you've been sensing that shift inside you, this conversation is going to speak straight to your heart. Let's dive in. Hey, welcome back. Welcome to our talk show episode with my girls, Mary Beth and Shauna. So excited to be here today. We're going to be talking about reinventing yourself and how to step into your next chapter with confidence. So to get started, let's just do a quick introduction and then we'll get into it.
Love it. So I can get us started here. My name is Mary Beth. I am the host of the Fierce Framework podcast, and I'm all about empowering women to break out of the box society tells us we're supposed to fit into and start living our lives more confident, more fierce through messy action, baby steps, and cultivating that confidence. I'm all about empowering us to just live a life that we're excited about and that we can feel lit up about.
So great. Hi, I'm so excited to be here. I love these talk show talks that we do together. I'm Shauna B. I am a podcast host for Release Your Inner Power podcast. I am a coach for women that is overthinking intervention and burnout prevention to quiet all the outside noise, to get back to yourself so you can start living a life that you love living. I am a mom of 3 with a bonus daughter. And I love being outside and being adventurous. And I am super excited about this conversation, so I can't wait to get started.
Awesome. Awesome. And I'm Mary Dibble. I am a wife, a mom of 3, and a life coach for mom and the host of Radiant Mom Rising podcast. I am just all about empowering moms to love themselves, believe in themselves, and really create the life and business that they love that lights them up as well. So excited to have this conversation. And I say, let's get started by just kind of answering that and for yourself, as when you hear that about what reinventing yourself, like what do you feel like that actually means for you personally in your season right now?
I'm going to go there. I'm just going to go straight for the middle of the onion.
Get in there, Shauna.
Get in there, girl.
Yeah. That's what I feel. That's what I feel like. So for me, when you say that to me, I feel like there's, like, as you said it, like there's many seasons of your life. And it's so interesting to me, like when you're early on as a kid and stuff like that, and your world is smaller, you don't think as big or as like inside for yourself until you get older and you start having experience or circumstances and situations. When you go through something in your life, like when I say life be lifing, and you have something that is pretty emotional, hard, and kind of like uproots your life, like how I say a tornado goes through, right? And it kind of uproots your life. That is like a solid sign of like, hello, like this is how you can put the pieces back together to reinvent yourself, right? That's like the big, obvious, time. And so when you say that to me, it's like, well, I've had many different times. Like it's not just one. You can choose to have many different times. And usually for those big ones, it was after like my divorce or, there'd be other big situations that come up in life that are unexpected, maybe a loss of somebody or grieving someone, whether that person's still, alive and they're just not in your life anymore, or that person is no longer here, and they have passed on. Like those things are how I think of as how you can reinvent yourself. Sorry, words are hard. But like just because you have that natural breakdown, you have the process of the emotions, you have all of that stuff to then be like, how do I want to move forward? Because you still are going to move forward, and it's by design, right? I mean, you can default and just like throw the covers over your head and just be like, F this, I'm not doing any of this anymore. I'm out. I don't, I'm checked out, which is okay to do for a little bit. Just don't get stuck there, right?
Right.
But then how do I want to move through this and what do I want to be? Because you can literally choose whatever you want to do. And usually, when you do choose that, if you take the time to go in and really check yourself and what do I want this to look like and ask yourself the right questions, it's going to come up. The stuff you really want is going to come up. It's taking that time to check in and feel that out to know what to do to reinvent yourself. Like, don't let it get so big. Just start
Mhm.
small, right? Don't be like this whole new world. What is it going to be? You can break it down into something small and start there. And then once you get that ball rolling, you'll start rocking stuff all over the place. You'll just be like,
Yeah.
yes, and this and more of this and da da, da. Like it'll just
Yeah.
happen. You just have to stop, check in with yourself, really find out what is important to you, what you want to move forward.
Mm.
Yeah. Oh, love it. What about you, Mary
So
Beth?
good. I love what you talked about, like when you mentioned the natural breakdown, because I think that's one of the things that can be hard to come to terms with when we're talking about reinventing is the like letting go. And sometimes you have to mourn the things you're letting go in your old life and even like the old future you thought you were going to have. And that can be really hard and really scary. And so I think that's part of why like we think of reinventions as like these big like life-changing situations like you were talking about like after a divorce or maybe like a near-death accident or like a near-death experience, right? Or like after backpacking around Europe for a year or whatever, like a big like life-changing because then you're kind of like forced to break down and like let things go. But I also love how you were talking like sometimes it's big and sometimes it's small. And I think like as we are open to it and we practice it, like you can reinvent yourself in small ways, like every day. And that's something that I feel like has been kind of crazy for me recently is like, I feel like I'm a different person like every week for the past like year. And it's just like change after change after change. And there's been like a few big changes. And my divorce was finalized, I think, like 2 years ago. And like that was a big catalyst, right? But then it's also like, as I'm becoming like more open to these little things, and sometimes it's as little as like journaling for 5 minutes a day. And it's like so small and it really doesn't seem like a big deal. And sometimes it's small enough where it's like you don't really at the forefront of your mind, you don't have to like let anything go to make that happen. But sometimes when it's bigger, like if you're implementing a morning routine, right? Then it's like
Yeah.
maybe I need to let go the binge watching TV the night before so I can go to bed earlier. But it's like when you're open to allowing the reinventions to like be small and more of like a continual thing. For me, it's just been like this really cool experience of seeing like there's so much possibility and like it's helped me like make concrete the concept that like we're always growing and changing because like
We are.
literally you can like you're reinventing yourself your whole life and like becoming more and more the person you want to be. And then sometimes you even like learn of a different possibility and you're like, "Oh my gosh, I didn't even know I could be her." But now like I'm striving to be that person that I didn't know existed or I didn't know I had within myself.
Yeah.
And I just think it's like
That's
so juicy
it
and such
is.
such a journey.
Oh, it is. It is such a journey because I mean, reinventing yourself isn't about just becoming somebody new or completely different, like you say. It's really about shedding like those old stories, those old
Mm,
beliefs, those things that have kept you in this reality that you're experiencing right now for as long as you have allowed it. And when you choose to reinvent yourself, I feel like it's more of a like being open to like
mm,
just taking that next step with the courage because of the uncertainty of how
Mhm.
things are going to play out, but doing it with a sense of like being open to learn, to grow, to expand, to develop those new skills that you want, to see yourself differently too, and talk to yourself differently. So I do
Yeah.
feel like that is an important aspect to understand when talking about reinventing yourself,
Mhm.
especially when you're trying to step into this next chapter with confidence, because again, we talked about this previously in other episodes because but understanding that confidence isn't something that just happens overnight. It's
Right.
through the courage, it's through bravery of just taking those steps and doing it anyways, like you say, doing it messy and just allowing things to unfold as they're meant to. And I think that is very powerful in knowing that sometimes in life, when it comes to being reinventing, sometimes life it's like a choice, and other times I feel like you say, we're forced into it, like with certain situations in life, and it's
Mhm.
important to understand the power that we have either way with both of
Mm.
those. So I love that, and I think that's so powerful of a start to just understanding that. And I'd love to hear, like, for you guys personally too, like to share some of the like maybe an identity, a belief, or a role even that you felt like you had to step away from that helped you to get to your next chapter.
Mm.
Hmm.
That's a juicy question. One of the things I'm working on right now,
Mhm.
which I'm like not there yet, so
Yeah.
it's a little vulnerable to talk about, but I was realizing like this week, I was like, I need to let go of this like identity of like being the responsible one who like takes care of everybody else because so like it started out like I'm the oldest daughter, so like there was a lot of expectation there. Although I feel like I bucked that expectation like pretty early on. And like I'm definitely like wasn't as dutiful as like so many oldest daughters, and sometimes I even feel like I was a terrible oldest daughter because I was like there's so many responsibilities and like pressures that so many like firstborn daughters deal with that I was just like, no, I'm not doing that. So, but then
I love
like
that.
there's a but
No.
there's still this like lingering. No, one time my mom loves to tell this story. One time she was like asking me to do something, and I was like, "They're your kids." Like I was like, "I'm not doing that."
I love
So
Uh,
anyway, survived that somehow. But like, so there's still like that expectation, even though I didn't even like do that well. And then some of it was like overcompensation of like being ADHD and like kind of
it.
being a free spirit, but that was like frowned upon, right? And so then it was like overcompensating of like, no, I am organized and like I will be responsible and I like I won't be flighty and I will like finish what I start and like not because like that's who I am as a person, but because it wasn't. And so it's like compensating for that and then just like I'm a very protective person and like I want to make sure my people are good and like taken care of and like my little sisters are my people, right? And so then I like put this pressure on myself of like I need to be like stable, secure, like financially good in case like anybody needs anything. And I'm not doing that. So I like as I've been like growing over this past year is like that has nothing to do with like who I am. Yeah. So that's like scary because I'm not like super ready to let that go, but I'm like, that's gonna have to happen.
Yeah, that's like
So
those baby steps though, and you're doing it. I mean, it takes recognition, it takes, just setting little boundaries here and there where it feels comfortable. And so you can, well, sometimes you have to do a little uncomfortably, but just
yeah.
setting it anyways and practicing and growing out of that, because that's part of, yeah, that's going to be how you reinvent yourself into somebody who balances that in a way that's healthy, where you feel like you still do what feels good to you, but doesn't like drain you and
Right.
ruin your energy and ruin your peace for your own life. So that's awesome. I love it. What about you,
Mhm.
Shauna?
which one to pick?
One pick.
Okay.
I know,
Right.
right?
I think though, oh, man, there's three of them that really stand out to me. I think the one that's probably gonna be the most relatable is the one of me. You grow up, through high school and college, and you kind of have an idea of what you want, right? And for me, it was like the norm. It was like, I need to go to school and get a job because I want to,
Yeah.
like me, I was like, I need a real paycheck. This working at, Macy's isn't happening for me. Like
Yeah.
I need the money to come in. I need to be able to, take care of myself and I want a career. And I did a very good job of focusing on that and getting my career. There was a time where I even lived out of my car. Okay. So that moving through that to get a real paycheck and like get my own place and all of that was like the whole process of inventing yourself. But as I'm doing this, my idea is get my career, get myself established, and then the next step is like find me a man's and like get married and have kids
That's what
because
they tell you.
yeah, but I mean, yeah, and but I wanted that. I've always wanted to be a mom of like a bajillion children. Like I've always wanted that. I've wanted a million kids everywhere, sports, activities, craziness. Like that's just always what I've wanted. And so as I'm building this whole, like as you said, Mary Beth, like it's like an expectation, but how I think of it is like painting a picture of what my goal is. And it is
Hmm.
this picture that is painted where I'm going to have this family. And I wasn't the white picket fence person because I would go against the grain regularly, right? So I'm like, what's the norm, Kit? But I want that version. That's
Yeah.
not that, the everything else, right? So
Which I think is so powerful to be able to like put your own spin.
Yeah.
yeah, I didn't want to be with everyone else. It was like, yes, I want the family, but I want it to be like this, not over here what everybody expects. And I don't know if that was my little rebellious, like I'm not doing that. As you said, Mary Beth, like no, because I am also the oldest daughter, so there was a lot of no's in that as well. But like I knew that I wanted to be married and I knew that I wanted to have kids and I knew, it was kind of like let it unfold as you have kids because you don't know. It's like a wild adventure. It could be totally, who knows? Who knows where it's going to lead you. And then, I did that. I got married and I had children and then things vastly changed and it started to not be what I thought it was going to be. And it's so
Mhm.
interesting how you fight with yourself, like Mary, how you were saying the way you talk to yourself and what you can see for yourself. Now that you have this family and you have your own expectation, but societal expectation, whether you want to
Yeah.
have that pressure or not, it's going to be there. And you get to choose whether you work through it or not. So you can ignore it, but it's still going to be there. Or you can choose to work through it. So then you only have your stuff to do. So, I mean, I worked through the societal thing pretty fast, but I think that's because I was like, what can I do differently than everything else already through my life? So I think that was easier for me to work through. I think the hard part was this picture that I had painted for myself of what I wanted so bad. I wanted to be the one that gets old with your husband and like, sit on the porch in your rocking chairs and look at the sky. Like I wanted to have that. And very quickly that was being shown that that was not going to be the case for me. And going through the process of divorce and all the emotions and all the feels and everybody's life is changing, everyone involved is changing. It's like taking that picture off the wall and then hanging a blank canvas, but being like, the heck is that? Like, because that's not what I wanted, right? So if you're sitting in a space of, I want this, this is what I really crave and want, sometimes it doesn't work out that way. Sometimes it doesn't
Mhm.
work out in the expectation that you really want. Now, does that mean that I won't be able to grow old with somebody and be on a rocking chair? No, I totally can. That totally could be the possibility for me, but I didn't know that at the time. And so when you're saying shed, right? Like I call it shedding
Mhm.
the shit. Like that's a whole process. You have to shed and let things go and mourn it and be like, that's not
Mhm.
that this chapter is now over
Mhm.
and be grateful for what you got to get here, right? Like I
Mhm.
needed all of those things to happen in order for me to kind of like blossom into this whole other person of I was adventurous to begin with as far as like being brave and going and doing crazy things and doing stuff alone and like doing all that anyway. And that shoved me into a different era.
Mhm.
It was almost like, and times 10. What
Mhm.
am I gonna do now? Right? Like
Mhm.
what is the next thing that I can do with my job and my career, with my children, with myself? And so I had to do a lot of like, I dove into like self help like no other because I was tired of talking shit to myself. Because the things that I was saying or hearing were not cool. And I was like, I wouldn't even talk like this to my friends. Why am I talking this like this to myself? Yeah. So I'm like, this needs to change. And so I started diving into this whole what I call mean girl or dragon in your brain. And I just started really studying this and the psychology of it and like the like the science behind it and all of that stuff and how you can rewire this. And I remember when I did rewire my brain on one thing, I was like, what? I was like, oh, here we go. Here we go. Like I
This
was
ain't no
like,
joke.
yeah, I was like, let's do this. And I just started like, I'm gonna retrain this, I'm gonna retrain this, I'm gonna retrain this. And the amount of work that I did internally first to then come out, everything else was easier. Painting that
Mm,
picture of what I
mm,
want was so much easier. And then being okay with it changing.
Yeah,
mm,
Like
that's
I might
huge.
want this big painting of this picture of this is what I really want right now, and then me doing all this amazing stuff, and then I'm like, whoosh, this picture's now being painted. Whoosh, oh, wait, hold on, and it's like, or adding to it and making
yeah.
it sparkle a little bit more, or adding something else, or oh, I'm gonna take that out and put this in there. Like there's so much of that now that it feels like I'm not in a box.
Mhm.
It feels like I have whatever I want, however I want, and I literally just have to be brave enough to take the steps. But because I can design it how I want to and know that I can change how I'm talking to myself, how I'm thinking, how to like build my own courage within myself, like, hello, releasing your inner power. Like I can do so many amazing things and believe in myself to do that now because I did that inner work. But then when I started taking those steps, like I was in the best, I say was just because I had a recent injury, but I was in the best shape of my life. I have gone to amazing freaking places on this earth that you can only get to by backpacking that nobody, you have to hike into it that have been like bucket list places that are awesome. I've
Yeah.
had so many of those adventures. I've had so many memories with my kids and building these yearly, like, core memory situations with them and just really focusing on like what I want and getting out of this robotic life of this
Mm,
is how you're supposed to be. This is
mm,
what you're supposed to do every day. Do, 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 and you get stuck in this hamster wheel.
Yeah.
No,
yeah.
Hmm.
lame. Let's make it
Exactly.
exciting. Like,
I
let's
love that.
design it and like
Yeah.
figure out what it is. So for me, mine was my divorce that felt like a tornado. It felt awful. It felt like everything was falling apart. And where am I going to go from here? And super emotional and sad and all that. Yes, do that. Do that. And then, like pick yourself back up, and be like, how do I want this to look? But really, really get real with yourself. Like, what do I really want here? And not just
Mhm.
for my family, but for me too, because that's how everyone's going to be happy. When mama's happy, everybody's happy.
Yeah.
And
That's
so doing that, my motivation behind all of that was what I do right now, my children are going to see.
yeah.
They're watching me. So if I want to just sit in my bed and put my covers over my head and be like, I'm out, that's teaching them that that's how you deal with things and that's how you design your life.
Mm.
Or I can do these badassery things and go on these adventures and do this stuff for myself and show them, to how to take care of myself and all of that. And they're watching me and they're
Mm,
they're eventually going to be like, "Huh." Like my 19-year-old son taking trips by himself to New York City.
Nice.
Okay? You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying? Like
yeah.
Mm.
by watching me. So like
Yeah.
you're doing so much by reinventing yourself, especially with your people
Yes.
around you because they're watching you and they're like, "Wait a second. I
Mhm,
can do that." So you're giving it to them too,
Yeah.
mhm.
right? So that I mean, that's my story of my big like my big reinvention
Yes.
of things, but then finding the fuel behind it also that I'm leading my people, if you will, through this just by doing. I don't have to educate them and talk to them and have long conversations.
Yeah.
I just do it and they see it and then they're like, "Wait a second. I
Mhm.
want to see what
Yeah.
that's about too."
Yeah, it's being inspired by looking at other people because a lot of times that's what motivates a lot of people is just seeing all the sorry guys. It's just seeing all the beautiful things that happen in other people's lives, which like I said, I've been able to shift that a lot because I used to have that comparison
Mhm.
problem where it's like, why her, why not me? And now it's like I've been able to be like, no, if it's possible for them, it's possible for me. And
Mhm.
I really love your story, Shauna. And if anyone's listening, if you haven't checked out her episodes where you always share about your reset journeys that are really awesome, you've got to check those out because they're really great. I feel like for me, a big part of my identity too. One of the things I've learned on my journey that's really helped me a lot is knowing that whole not fake it till you make it. I always say embrace it till you make it because
Mhm.
it's like if you can't step and show up in the energy and the feelings of what you desire, you're not going to
Mhm.
attract it. And sometimes
Mhm.
that's what it's all about. It's just showing up as that individual as you see yourself. And that's one of the things I love about this journey that I'm on. It's like I get to show up as who I know I'm meant to be even if I'm not quite there yet in certain areas of that aspect of the journey. And
Mhm.
that's great because I'm only preparing myself more and more each time I show up for when that happens. And I think it's really awesome when you get to reinvent yourself that you're allowing yourself to just like you say let go of those expectations because we all have visions of what we want, but it's never going to always turn out exactly as we want it. And that's okay. Because I know there were times in my past where I would ruin like a whole evening because things did not go according to plan.
Mhm.
And the way I had it in my mind, I was the same way like that. It's like I had to be this way. I was very specific in my mind. And if it didn't happen, it's like my insides would just twist and I would get in this bad mood and then I would just ruin it for everyone else. And it's like I've loved that that's been a huge shift and a belief that I've removed is that things have to be exactly the way I want it to be. And I've
Mhm.
allowed myself to just kind of go with the flow. Stop being so anal about things. Stop I used to be like when it comes to time, even like just having to be punctual and early and things like that. It's like letting go of that identity of someone who had to always be on time, had to be the good girl, had to do everything right, had to be on top of it, I couldn't let anyone down. I had to be
Mhm.
the quickest about every little thing, fast, fast, fast. Anything goes off, with my ADD especially, oh my gosh, very easy to get sucked into it with the squirrel, but I have really worked on that. And I feel like that has changed so much in my life
Mhm.
and just how I've been able to show up for my kids, like you say, how I've been able to show up for myself in a way that I've neglected for so long because I also had that belief that being a good mom meant sacrificing yourself, putting yourself on that back burner and focusing on what you can do for your kids and just about the money. Honestly, it was a
Mhm.
big part. That was a big thing I struggled with. I grew up in, poor most of my life I was homeless for my teenage years, and so I had this horrible experience of what it was like to not have any and to struggle, that it was such
Mhm.
a fear that every time money, and it's still something I'm working through, by the way. I'm not perfect, and it's something I'm graciously working through because it was my core old belief and identity that money doesn't grow on trees and that it only
Mhm.
happens to the few and that I had to look and be a certain way in order to be worthy of that kind of success. And so that's why I'm so passionate about this work because God has shown me such a different way. And thankfully, I've done the inner work that's really shown me just what is possible for anyone who's willing
Mhm.
to put in the effort and put in that time to work on their confidence, to be brave enough to just take risk and just do it anyways and allow things to just be. So I think that's again, I love these conversations with you ladies. It's so great. And for someone who's listening, who's like, oh my God, this sounds great. I would love to be able to know more with this, but how do you move forward when you're so full of fear and it's so loud, but deep down, you also know that there's this calling for more? What would you say to someone like that who's kind of in this situation of like, well, I want to make a change, I want to reinvent
Mhm.
myself, but I'm too scared. I feel too stuck. Like, what would you say to them?
It kind of goes with so I really like when you were saying,
Mhm.
I'll answer that just a second because I think it goes
Yes.
together. So like I really liked when you were saying, you had like a plan of steps of things. And if it didn't go to plan, like you were like, why isn't this going to plan? It was like on the expectation of what needed to happen. One of the things that helped me tremendously was understanding that you might make up a plan of 5 steps and those might not be the way that's the best for you. And you may not realize that yet until you go in there. So if it starts not working out, that doesn't mean you still can't get to step 5. You just might have to go a little to the right or a little to the left to get there.
Mhm. Yeah.
And what's helped me mentally is how good can this get? How good can this get? Instead of rowing in the negative boat, like we've talked about before on one of our episodes, right? Like, oh, it's easy to go in that negative boat and stay there. Well, let's back it up because how good can this get? Just because that didn't work out doesn't mean it's bad, wrong, not working out. Oh, this isn't, it's over, it's done with. It just means that step wasn't for you. That way wasn't for you, but there's another way, there's another step, there's another plan for you. And being open to that and just sitting back and being like, well, how good can this get? And then seeing that, it's going to flip you in your brain from negative side to positive side just by asking yourself that question. You know what I mean? And so for me, it's a lot of internal stuff in my brain of working through things like that, of saying those things, having my, you can call them affirmations, you can call them mantras, you can call them whatever, but it's like checking my stuff. Like if I'm getting to that point, or, if I'm scared, because doing new things or not knowing what's going to happen next is scary. Like that is scary. But fear is something that moves with you. You don't leave it behind. So it's almost like, how big is your fear? Well, let's make it just a little bit smaller, because when you get braver, your fear is smaller, but it's still with you. Sometimes it's so small you don't really feel it. Like your bravery and courage and all of that is going to be bigger, so you're going to feel that more, but your fear's still with you.
Yeah.
And so working with it, so your courage and being brave is bigger and your fear is smaller. You need to break it down into a manageable step. Like,
Mm.
what are you okay with, that where you might be like, oh, I don't really know about that, but I'm going to do it, is better than being like, whoa, I don't know if I can do that. That's too big.
Yeah,
That's
you're
too big. Break it
subconscious.
down, right? Yeah,
Yeah.
just break
No.
it down. It's okay. It's okay. Like if
Mhm.
you literally just need to, like,
Mhm.
you're like, I don't know, this is too big of a question. What am I going to reinvent myself? I don't know. That's too big. I can't think about that. Okay, that's fine. If you need to, then break it down more. So break it down into parts of your life. And then once you have your parts of your life and you're like, I want to focus on like my help, my self-help stuff, like my personal things. I don't really know what I want because I feel like I've been stuck in a hamster wheel. Okay, that's fine. Let's break that down. So what is important to you?
Mhm.
And if you're like, I don't know, taking my kids to their sports games, because you don't know, or whatever, or like, I don't know, whatever, I'm gonna cook, blah blah, like, you know what I'm saying, like having meals together, whatever, like whatever those things are, because you haven't been able to think about yourself because you are in this for a lot of, other people or what have you. Well, that's okay too, but you can still break it down. Okay, well, where do I spend my most money? Where do I spend my time? What are things that, where I'm like, oh, I'd really like to do that one day. What are those thoughts?
Mm.
Yeah, that's
And then
powerful.
just writing them down. You don't
Hmm.
have to do anything with it. Just write them down. You're just gathering information. Like, take all that pressure of like, I got to build a house tomorrow. Like, no,
Yeah.
just write it down. Just do that and get it out and do it a few times. You're going to see some repetition and you're going to be like, wait a second.
Mhm.
These things are really, I like these things. These things are here. And sometimes doing those things will lead you to other things that really light that up for you. But
Hmm.
you got to start with the small things first.
Yeah.
So that's what I would say about fear.
I love that.
That's so
That's,
good.
yeah, it is. It's
Yeah.
very powerful. I mean, like I said, we can't escape that. It's going to be a part of our lives no matter what. So let's the way I look at it too, it's like, just how much do you want your current situation to change? Like, do you want to keep having the same reality? I mean, you're
Mm.
obviously here for a reason. You obviously feel like you're called for more and you want more. So what does it look like in a year from now if nothing changes?
Right.
Absolutely nothing changes. What does that, how does that feel? What does that look like? Are and if you're not, if it doesn't feel good, if you're not happy and joyful about that, then there you go. There's your answer that something needs to change. But nothing's going to change if you don't take one step and just do it. And you won't know all the answers, and you're not always going to get all the answers, even when you make those steps. But you do get some kind of answer. You do get some kind of clarification. You do get something that moves you that much closer to that end result that you've only from now dreamt about. And so
Mm.
that's what we're here to motivate and encourage people, because without that, then yeah, you're just going to stay stuck in the struggles and the sufferings and the things that already so unhappy about. And I know for me, I don't just want that for myself. I want that for everyone else to like who's listening, for us to empower each other and know that we're here. And that maybe like if you're going through a divorce, for instance, like Shauna, I bet you and even you, Mary Beth, can look back and be like, I would have killed to have someone like me there to get me through it in a different way, to get me through it in a more positive way. And that's what you guys are here doing. And that's how I feel as a mom. Like there's so many things that I look back and I'm like, I wish I had someone here who like helped me see this stuff sooner and helped me
Mm.
through it in maybe see it in a different way that it took me much longer to figure out and find my way. And I enjoy being able to share these things and give people perspectives and just really understanding that it is about just taking one step after the other. You know, it's not about always having it all figured out. It's about
Mm.
allowing yourself to go figure it out and make a way and look for the opportunities that show up and look for the people that you get connected with and be like you say, writing all that stuff down is powerful in recognizing and learning more about yourself because there's not that's the most powerful thing about the self journey and self discovery is all the things we learn about ourselves, is all the different ways that we've ignored and neglected for so long or just been blinded to or and not allowed ourselves to recognize and realize, whoa, oh wow, I didn't realize I was like that. I didn't realize I always acted that way or whatever it is. But I get to decide who I want to be from this point on. I had a guest one time talk about this woman that she met her job. She like she worked in the hotel industry and the sales division. And she met this one woman who had like all these different like businesses and they were different, all completely different. When she sat with her one day and was just like, how do you do it? Like how are you doing all this? And she said, every 5 years I reinvent myself. She allows herself to learn new skills, to show up in a different energy, to believe in different things, to explore different avenues. And each one of
Mm.
those has led her to open a completely different business that she's made incredibly successful. And so that's what it's all about. It's allowing ourselves to just be like, you know what? I'm going to explore this. This is what I want to choose for my time right now and who I want to be in the season. And yes, it's going to be a little messy, but you're never going to get to the end result without just doing it, just
Mm.
deciding, making that decision that I want to change my outcome. I want to embrace more of who I know I'm meant to be. And maybe I haven't really been that because I've been carrying things for so long, but it ultimately that is the end goal is becoming who we were meant to be.
Mm. I love that so much. It's so good. I also love what you were saying about like considering what if nothing changes because we're
Yeah.
so good at being afraid of the unknown and afraid of change. But if you want to be negative, like sink into that for a little bit. Like be afraid of what if nothing changed? Like is this really what like look around you and like is this really what I want the rest of my life to look like? And if it does, great, amazing. Teach me your ways. But if it doesn't, like maybe be a little afraid of that. Like, and then because I think I love what Shauna said about like how good can it get? And I think
Yeah.
that's so powerful, but like it can be really hard sometimes to even like to imagine that or like so if you're having a hard time like considering the positive, then consider the negative.
Yeah.
Like if nothing changes, if the rest of my life looks like this, how is that gonna feel? And maybe that'll be
Yes.
like some motivational fear,
Yes.
right?
Get that intrinsic motivation.
Yeah, but then pairing that with like, okay, so then what if I'm able to change it? Like, what could it look like? And like Shauna said, how good can it get? And so, like, I love that that's like two sides of the same coin.
Yeah.
And also, when you were talking about like expectations, have you ever had a situation where like something was better than you thought it would be?
Yeah.
So if everything works out exactly the way you thought it would, or expect it to, or even think you want it to, then it's never gonna be better.
Yeah.
So, like, in order for something to be better than you thought it could be, it has to be different. And so, like, that's been really powerful for me of trying to like let go of like some control and expectations and allowing like not every deviation from the plan is bad. Like,
Yeah.
some are good. Like, some unexpected things are so much better than I could have imagined. Like, because it's like so ingrained that And any surprise or anything unplanned or any like deviation from the plan, which where did you even get the plan from anyway?
I know.
Like
Yeah, right.
half of these steps are like other people's path or like
Yes.
completely arbitrary that would seem like a good idea in the moment. So it's like let's hold them with an open hand, arbitrary like they are, and like let them come and go, because then something else might come in. Anyway, and I love Shauna what you said about like how the fear never leaves. And I think that that is super powerful as well, because one of the things that's so easy to get hung up on is like thinking that things are supposed to feel easy. And like this comes up a lot with confidence, right? I think there's a misconception that confidence is like feeling good about things or like not feeling insecure. No, it's like after you do it scared anyway. Like it's more about the courage, and then the confidence is like the byproduct. Like that's the end result of being scared and doing it anyway. So, and I hate the term like get comfortable being uncomfortable,
I was
but
just gonna say that.
that's basically what I'm saying, right? Is like as we start realizing and like accepting that
Yeah.
and not having to reject that part of ourselves all the time, like I don't have to stop feeling scared. I just have to take action. I can be scared. Like, I don't have to fix that part of me that's fearful or anxious. Like, I can keep that with me. But, like you were saying, I just have to let the courage be louder
Yeah.
and go ahead and take that action anyway.
Yeah.
And, like, it can be a baby step. You want, like, you want to find the step that's like a balance between it's a little scary, right? So you're getting out of your comfort zone, you're stretching yourself, like it's doing something, it's activating you, right? But it's not so big that you're like completely freaking out and shutting down,
Mhm.
right? So finding that balance of like the right size of scary, where you can be scared but still take that action versus like you said, trying to build a house in a day and just be like,
Yeah.
nope, I can't do this. I'm going back to bed.
Yeah. And now though that's the thing though. That is such a starting point, but I think the more you do that and the more you build that muscle of courage, you're gonna have times too though where you do take that huge leap of faith
Yes.
and you
Hmm.
will have more courage to take that bigger risk for something greater than you ever expected. So understand, like, we're not saying that forever you're just going to always take these small steps and that's
So,
going to be enough, because sometimes that's just going to get you started so that you
mhm.
grow to the point where as you build your confidence, as you start seeing things like unfold in ways like, whoa, who I
Yeah.
can't even believe I'm her. I can't
Yeah.
believe I'm doing what I'm doing. Then things are going to show up and you'll have more courage then to take even bigger risk and bigger risk. And that is truly too what sets people up in that course of having that $1 million business, of having the things that they really desire and make that impact in the world that they dream of, is because they just started with exactly what Mary Beth was saying. So I just wanted to reflect that too, so people understand like there's nothing also wrong with sometimes taking that big leap,
Mhm.
but it just being understanding that, especially if you're just getting started, it is okay. There's no shame at all. And just taking a small step and just practicing and working your way up to it.
I love it. That's like what we talked about last time. We are talking about
Yeah.
like becoming that person.
Yes.
And yeah, you're literally growing your capacity
Yeah.
as you're doing it. So like you can still have the same like ratio of fear to
Hmm.
courage, but your
Yeah.
action is going to be bigger and
Yeah.
bigger as you're building that muscle. I
Exactly.
love that, Mary.
All right.
Another thing that I think that we have to kind of like get real with ourselves on is we as human beings have this culture now of getting the answer and doing the thing, and then we're now reinvented ourselves in 24 hours. Like that is not realistic, right? Like you want to burn out or overwhelm or overthink yourself, you go right ahead and do that in 24 hours and see how that works out, because it's not going to be good, right? But it's hard to break that when you're used to being that cycle of getting, doing, information, go. Like you have to take a second to freaking hit the pause button and check yourself, because it's like, okay, you want to reinvent yourself, that's fine, but you have to think long term. And it's important to
Mhm.
do these baby steps and then big leaps. And then you might go back to baby steps and then more big leaps. Like it's going to be back and forth, but being fluid with it and being okay with that is a huge step. It's not a quick fix. Like, yes, that's your end
Mhm.
goal and that's what you really want. But everything is building you to be that person. And there could be opportunities and situations out there that will blow your world up in an awesome way. Just be like
Mhm.
the out of the blue situations that are just going to come out where you're like, "Whoa, this is totally changed the trajectory of my life that you would have never saw before."
Yeah.
If you would have been stuck in the I need to fix it now. Why isn't
Yeah.
it this? Why isn't it that? Mm-mm. We're not doing that. That's your dragon because it wants you to stay there. So
Yeah.
we need to hold that, excuse me, come back to like, nope, I'm doing this step right now. This is what I'm doing. Working with the fear, going through that. And then what's my next one? Do I feel like leaping today or just taking a step? I'm not really sure, right?
Yeah.
And you can decide that because you're designing it. You're
Yeah.
not
Mhm.
just sitting
Mhm.
there letting the dragon, default you, default you, default you. Like you guys are saying, is this how I want to be, in 5, 10 years, 20 years, or whatever? Is this what I want?
Yeah.
Is this what I'm just gonna roll over and be like, yep, that's what I want. And that might be the case. Like you might have done some work and done the things and you might already be there and good for you for doing that.
True.
But
Goals.
how many more years do you have to experience, know, gather information, lead a life that you really truly love living? You can start whenever you want to. And
Yeah.
it's like you just have to make the decision to do that. And so to not get stuck, to
Yeah.
not get stuck in the I need this to happen quickly. That's not like we were talking about on our last episode. Part of the journey is the process on how you
Mhm.
learn and see and grow the most
Yeah.
and not just jumping to the end result. So
Exactly.
how do you pause and reflect on that so you can get the most out of it by being present in the moment in the journey, right?
Yeah. Absolutely. It sure is. I mean, it's a powerful thing because I mean, this is, especially when thinking about like how differently my day alone can look like, where I can even catch myself in old patterns, like old thoughts coming up and things like that. But now, because of everything I've learned and what I know, I'm able to do something about it. I don't have to stay there. I don't have to keep there. And even just
Mhm.
having people like you guys to come and have this conversation with, we were talking about that earlier, how like this fills our cup out. It doesn't matter how our day started. This things like this fills us up. And it's so important that you expose yourself to that
Mm-hmm.
and not
Mhm.
be afraid. And if anyone's listening here, like if you haven't yet found your people, go find your people. Go
Yeah.
follow who you need to
Game
follow
changer.
because the more you surround yourself with people like this, with conversations like this, it's just gonna help you get there. I guess sooner because, like I said, that instant gratification. Oh God, come on, yeah, that's so so it's so annoying actually. I feel like I completely understand what you're saying with that, Shauna, and it's something that I am so grateful for that one of the things I always talk about is like Joe Rogan even talks about. He's so grateful that it took him as long as it did to get to where he's at. Because he's like, if I was
Right.
just handed what I have now, he's like,
Right.
I would have squandered it. I would have squandered it. So it's like understand that too. Sometimes like when things don't happen exactly or as quickly as you want, it's just because again, it's a lesson to be learned and something that we just need to evaluate. Like you say, just evaluate that and check your, I love that how I always say, check yourself before you wreck yourself,
Yeah.
because that is what happens when we don't check in and make sure that we're good and that we're
Mhm.
really doing things out of alignment and not because
Mhm.
of like pressure or what we
Mhm.
think we should be doing.
It's good.
I like to say that you're leveling up without realizing that you're leveling up. Like big things don't need to happen to be like you are at the next level. Like that doesn't need to happen. Like you can be doing these little steps and learning these lessons and taking it and realize like, "Oh shoot, I've leveled up like 3 levels and I didn't even
Yeah.
realize it."
Yeah.
It's you taking that and making a decision and doing something with it and just taking those steps and you're leveling up without realizing it. When you reflect is when you're like, yeah, I just level up 3 levels. You know what I mean? But taking the time for you to
Mhm.
realize that so you know where to go next.
Yeah.
Exactly. Exactly. Well, I know we're coming up to the end of our time, ladies. So if anyone else wants to share any final thoughts or just anything for the audience, please feel free to share now.
Ooh, I don't know. I think this talk was pretty juicy. I think throughout the whole
So
thing,
good.
there's,
Plenty, right?
nuggets everywhere, all over
Yes.
the place.
Yes, yes.
I guess just, I would say that, be brave enough for yourself to at least stop and think, what do I really want? Is this what I want right now? Or do
Mhm.
I want and deserve more than what I
Yeah.
have? That's what I would say.
Yeah. I love how Shauna's all like love and light, and my perspective is like, but one of the things that was like so powerful for like opening my eyes is like, there's no guarantee that like you're gonna be happy or things are gonna work out or you're gonna feel fulfilled in your purpose. Like if you do all the right things, like you can check all the boxes, you can do everything that you're supposed to do, you can follow the plan, but there's no guarantee that that's going to work out, that that's going to do anything for you, like that that's going to, that you're going to like feel fulfilled from that. So it's like, because we live as if that's the default. Like our society is set up like that. It's like, oh, you're supposed to do this, you should do that. No, 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 no. And there's like all these prescriptions. But I'm like, even if you follow all those things to the T, there's no, for what? Like, there's no guarantee. So it's like, you might as well, like, you might as well try and go for something that matters to you and like live in alignment with your actual values, because you're much more likely to actually have that work out because like you have your passion and like your life force behind that, right? It's like we have this expectation that like if you do everything right, what you're supposed to do, there's gonna be some like magic prize at the end, and there's not. Like there's no guarantee. You create the prize by like the journey. Like that is the whole point.
It is. And it's like, don't be that person who's like, I'll be happy when I'll be good when I have this. It's like, no, we have to be that now. And there's nothing wrong too with being grateful for where you are now and still wanting more too. I want to also iterate that because I feel like we're not trying to say that, oh, your life has got to suck, 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 suck. I mean, I love my life very much, but I also know that I'm always working for more. And I think that's the thing is when they reach that end goal, it shouldn't be just, oh, I'm here, I'm done. There's always more to reach for. There's always more to strive for. And that's what you say is fun about the journey. So be grateful for what you have while you're also looking for what you are going to be grateful for in your future, but also not waiting for that to happen in order to be happy, in order to feel good, in order to feel that joy, because that's so crucial in attracting that is feeling the things that you would feel if you had it now, as you show up. So just know that. And ladies, always a great time talking with you guys. I love you girls. I'm always one of those people who says guys, sorry. But anyways, I love talking with you guys. I cannot wait till next time.
I know it's going to be good.
It's always going to be good. You ladies have a great rest of your day. And everyone listening, we appreciate you so much. And we just hope you have a wonderful rest of your week. What an honest and grounding conversation. Before we close, I want to really let these reminders sink in. You are allowed to evolve. Growth does not mean you were ungrateful for your past. Fear will show up when you expand. That doesn't mean you're on the wrong path. Reinvention isn't reckless. It's leadership, especially for your children. Boundaries are part of becoming. They protect the woman you're stepping into. You don't have to burn down your life to grow. Sometimes it's about subtle identity shifts. Your children are watching how you handle change, and your courage gives them permission to grow too. If today's episode stirred something inside you, that's not random, that's recognition. And if you ever wondered what it would feel like to have someone walk alongside you while you navigate your growth, someone to help you untangle old beliefs, build confidence, and hold you accountable to who you're becoming, that's exactly what life coaching is. There is something incredibly powerful about not doing it alone. You can always explore what that support might look like by connecting with me through the link in the show notes. No pressure, just conversation, clarity, and possibility. Thank you for being here. Thank you for choosing growth. Thank you for rising. If this episode resonated, please follow the show, share it with another mom who's stepping into something new, and leave a review. It truly helps this message reach more women who need it. Until next time, keep honoring who you've been, keep stepping toward who you're becoming, and keep rising into your next chapter with courage. Much love.